What's up, you guys? Joined today by my brother Hiron, and whom many of you know as Professor Pedro Sauer. For us, Uncle Pedro. You guys, critical discussion. What is self-defense? And you guys are like, well, we've seen every other YouTube video you guys have put out. They know how we talk about it. They know the general discussion. Self-defense is headlock defense, eye gouge defense, kick defense, punch block series from the guard,
headbutt
clinching,
defense,
distance management, multiple attackers. We've seen all your videos. You don't know, we know self-defense. Well, guess what? You know 10%. You guys, let's take him 90%. Let's take him the rest of the way.
Let's take him further.
Think of this word, self-defense. It could also be known as self-preservation, self-protection, self-efficiency. So let's go deeper down a couple rabbit holes here about how big self-defense really is. And if you understand what we talk about today, what it's going to impact their jiu-jitsu and give you the slightest chance more to end up here training after 40 years, legendary status. Talk to him, Pedro.
Well, self-defense means you got to protect your joints at any time. No matter who is your partner, no matter what you're doing, you have to always be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what the possibility that somebody can do, anything that can be done against you. And what you do, if you train slow, you train smart in the beginning, and you understand all the kind of gray areas between you and your partner, you will start sharing moves like a 50-50 share. I don't want to put 100% trust and give all my joints to you guys to stretch and to bend my arm.
Hope he doesn't break you.
Hope that you're going to be falling in the right direction, that you're going to do everything by the book. I want to share that. I want to have 50% responsibility too to protect my joints. Like, this is not 100% on my partner. It is half and half. And it's easy on my pride. It's easy when you guys train, and it's easy to progress too, because I'm not putting 100% on me, on my partner. So we're sharing. Like this, we both can progress. We both can kind of get in the same kind of level in a very easy way with protection, because otherwise our life's going to be very short on the mat.
The lifespan of jiu-jitsu, 3 months, 5 months is average. 3 to 5 months. Most people are gone because they don't understand this self-preservation, protect your joint concept. And this 50-50 is very interesting. So you're saying that someone goes for an armbar from the mount, they catch it, 50% you're hoping they will be somewhat gentle with you and respectful with your arm, but not 100% trust.
Not 100% trust.
50% you're resisting a little bit and you tap right here. Exactly. You don't wait till here.
Nope.
And you probably learned that the hard way over many years.
Yep. I learned to have my arm.
Who was your primary perpetrator when you were a kid?
He's no longer training. That's all that matters.
Well, I'll tell you what, the guy who trained the most was Rickson. He was the guy who trained the most. But Marcelo Bering was another good partner, another training partner for many years. More than 10 years we rode together pretty much every single day. And he was very tough, very kid, very skilled. And of course, everybody in the academy was a nightmare. But I discovered that most of those guys, they could not keep training for a long time.
We're saying Rickson and Marcelo could, but I'm saying general students.
General students.
Right, the rest of the population there, where are they?
They all stop. Every single stopping, every single body. I go back to Brazil. I barely see one of my partners train on the mat.
Well, it makes sense. After 1 or 2 surgeries, you figure, man, this is too many surgeries.
Too many, and you just cannot take it.
But you kept going.
And I had 12 surgeries on my body when I came to America.
Because you got here, it was the proving phase. Fight Lance Bachelor, Mr. Utah, had to fight this guy, Gracie Challenge match here in Utah to prove jiu-jitsu, but those phases are done. Everyone believes now.
That's it.
Now just perpetuation and safety. Exactly. So you're trying to tell them, like, from your experience, how to avoid the screws.
Exactly. Nobody needs to go to this.
You don't have to have screws to get good.
I don't have any screws yet. And I feel great.
So tap quick, 50-50. Self-defense means when you're grappling, no strikes, no headlocks, no street consideration. You're just rolling them at your gym.
Protect yourself.
What Pedro's saying is self-defense means don't care so much about impressing your teacher that you're willing to let your joint go past 180.
Not good.
Not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
Protect self-defense. Defense of thy joints.
Exactly. And if you do want to do a little bit hard, if you want to go a little bit harder, it's okay for you to tap first. You go ahead and tap right away, and after that you tell your partner, hey, can you please hold me again, same position.
Start from there, and then play.
And now I'm going to try a little bit.
But you know he'll go easy now, because you already gave him the tap.
I already gave the tap.
There's no more ego.
No more ego involved.
Dang, I love that trick. Tap, hey, now let me try to get out from here while he's not ripping your arm.
Exactly.
Hidon,
No.
self-defense.
For me, self-defense starts with obviously there is the type of rolling that we do amongst friends here in the academy on the mat where I want to tap you and you want to tap me. This is very fun and this is normal. You know, we're both fighting for the submission. And so that's with an agenda of trying to submit somebody. But more recently, I have had the agenda of doing nothing in that direction. So by no means do I want to submit somebody, pass their guard, escape their side mount. I don't want to escape the mount. I don't even want to submit them when I side mount them. I want to get the side mount and just hold the side mount. And I'm thinking more of self-defense in self-efficiency, in saving my energy of my body. And the reason why is because I feel like if I side mount somebody who is a brown belt, an advanced brown belt or black belt of ours, if I tell myself, hey, you know what, I need to submit him in 30 seconds or a minute, that's a very difficult task because these guys all know how to defend very well and they've been around for a while. So I cancel that idea. And self-defense now is, let me just hold the side mount, hold the mount. Let me just smother them with body weight and control the position wherever I land. If I'm on the bottom, I control them in my guard. I hold them snug. And if I'm on top, I also hold the position. And when I'm doing this, most of the time, this puts a little pressure on them.
Yes.
To want to escape and move on and go somewhere else. And they might escape, or B, in an attempt to escape at the incorrect time, they are going to, in many cases, expose themselves and almost serve to me on a silver platter an opportunity, like a choke, a guillotine, a footlock, who knows. And if it isn't on the submission side of things, for example, if somebody mounts on me, my goal is not to escape. My self-defense is don't get out. Now, if it was a fight, if we were training with gloves on, then my self-defense would be not getting punched and not getting choked from the mount, for example.
Different circumstance, different mindset.
But if it's self-defense, just grappling here amongst friends and brothers in the academy, brothers and sisters, then self-defense is, there's no striking right now. But I can be very aware of when I move and how efficient I am. Jiu-Jitsu is efficiency. So if somebody mounts me and I try to escape immediately, or I try 3 times and on the 4th I succeed, did I really apply Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah.
A variation.
You may have, but you didn't apply self-defense on the highest
A
level.
variation
Efficiency.
of Jiu-Jitsu, which is, it's moving further from that Jiu-Jitsu of Grandmaster Carlos and Eddie Gracie. So back to me in the bottom of the mount, I cannot submit them anymore, so the goal is to now escape. So the mindset is I don't want to escape. I just don't want to get choked, arm locked, or headlocked, or any kind of submission from the mount.
Right.
And as they attack, my patience, they start to get impatient because I'm too tight, and then they open up their attack, and then I seize the opportunity.
Does this apply when you're in someone's guard?
It applies everywhere.
Does it apply when you're on someone's back?
It applies everywhere.
Does it apply when they're on your back?
Bro, everywhere. The thing is this, that there's no position. It's not my job to advance. It's the other person's job to try something and leave me an opportunity.
Right.
That's the definition of jiu-jitsu to me. And the reason why this is so valuable is because, for example, this behavior of, let's just say I did a little takedown and I side mount somebody here in the academy in sparring. When I side mount that person, I just lay on them. Obviously, for practice reasons, if they defend and they're showing my same behavior, we can't both just lay there for 2 minutes. But that's very rare to come across somebody who just goes limp and stays still like I would. They usually try to work their escape and get off their back and create an angle. So fortunately for me, I can do more of my jiu-jitsu. But if they did do that, yes, I would attack because we want to help the person that's on defense. If I side mount Rener and he's patient, the ball is in my court, I have to attack him.
Right.
Now, this is so valuable because the way that I side mount people and I hold them down, whether I'm in their guard or wherever I am, I just control the position from top or bottom. That's exactly how I would suggest that you train and you fight somebody in a street fight. If I side mount somebody in the fight, I'm not thinking to punch them, headlock them, arm lock them. Matter of fact, I would suggest against arm locking them or punching them. Just hold them down. Just keep them from hurting you. And when the time is right and they exhaust, get up and walk away. And last but not least, this idea of self-defense, training this way. And I would say I train this way 75% of the time. 25, I say, you know what?
I'm gonna go beat him.
Rener's mounting on me, I'm gonna escape now.
But that's not efficiency. That's not like protect, save. It's just freaking go. It's more like doing it for the sport of trying to chase each other than really trying to be the highest level of jiu-jitsu efficiency when you do that.
And there's a curiosity that I have. If, for example, Rener or whoever side mounts me, somebody very advanced.
Full lockdown.
I want to know, can I get out of here in 30 seconds or a minute?
Right.
And I can do that. The position of my life that I'm in, 33 years old, 34 years old, I can get
it's
out
like,
whenever I want.
If you like shooting firearms, you go to the range, you say, hey, I want to unload 30 rounds right now in 10 seconds. I
want to waste bullets.
Fascination. You're wasting bullets, but there's a certain fun to that, and you do it. But where you should be is what?
Now,
one shot, one kill.
And that's good to do. Now the question is this: you cannot escape this. Nobody can escape this, and it is aging. Aging, and your body is aging every second. So what happens is if you train that way, it's okay. But we have to still look at the way that I'm talking about training. The idea of only moving when it makes sense, when it's most efficient, when the opportunity is given to you, not when you forced it. Now you can create it and outsmart somebody to do it, but you have to use technique and outsmart them, not your physical attributes. So what happens is because age will catch up to you. When that happens, you need something to fall back on.
So you can still train.
Yes.
Because that machine gun does not apply when you're over 30, 40 years old.
The last thing I want is for you to hit an age of 40 years old and you say, wow, I can't pass these guards anymore.
So I should stop training.
Yes.
Who happens to everyone.
And
all the time.
Instead, you're going to say, I don't need to pass the guard because the majority of your training anyways, you are already preparing for the day when you hit 40.
And you can't force it anymore. Now the question is, why is everyone everywhere training machine gun style versus like this?
Well, because what happens is this. What do we have to hear? What do we have to experience to feel good about a day at the academy?
Good job. Nice job. Nice
Correct.
armbar. Nice submission. You got him.
In most cases, you have to experience a nice sweep, a submission, something of that. You have to tap somebody out to like, you know what?
That
It was a
counts.
good day today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a problem with that. And the problem is that everybody's now fighting for that submission. And we're all thinking about the small battle, which is today. Me rolling against Kevin, me rolling against whoever, Brett, and these black belts and brown belts and friends of ours. But that can't be what matters most. What matters most has to be the longevity, having jiu-jitsu in my life until I have grandchildren who are sharing the mat with me.
How do we know, Grandmaster Elio? Yeah,
And that's the problem. People put the short battle, the small battle of this role before the long battle. So the way that I train now is me putting longevity before. I don't really mind. If somebody side mounts me and they hold me down for 3-4 minutes and the 5-minute timer goes off, great.
Yeah.
I don't, by no means do I feel pressure.
Now here's the thing. In the schools, there's an extreme pressure. In most BJJ schools across the board, there's a clock. And then what does the coach say? If you're on the bottom, get out now.
Go.
Time is running and you're down by points. So because the culture of competing in jiu-jitsu is forget laying down. You don't wait until you get on top. They're already educating people to be machine gun, wasting ammo, and they don't know how to shoot a gun with one shot, one kill. They never learned that because it's all machine gun.
And it's because victory for people is not in protecting thyself and conserving energy and coming back the next day. Victory is in doing something that somebody put in the book or a DVD somewhere that's supposed to look good and fancy and finish the match.
It all boils down to what's praised. If the instructor praises machine guns, people are going to shoot machine guns. But if the instructor waits, and then when he sees a sniper, he goes, hey, really good job, champ. You were so patient. You waited. So for the instructors out there, it's on you to praise the behaviors that can be conducive for longevity, lifespan of jiu-jitsu. And for the students out there who have coaches who are yelling at you to spray your machine gun, you have to look up and say, Coach,
and it's difficult. And the instructors
you gotta own it. You have to own your own journey.
The instructors don't do that because they themselves were praised.
They don't even know
for dominating, for overcoming, dominating.
Can we be their assistant coaches?
Yes.
Are we here to praise them?
Yes.
And efficiency.
We can even tell the instructors that you don't want your students in machine gun mode.
Because why? Machine guns only last till they run out of ammo.
You want your students to be like you and train forever, but they won't. Now, the reason why you will train forever as an instructor is because you can't go anywhere. Because 70 people, 300, however many people rely on you.
It's your job. It's your life. And it's how you pay your bills.
So
you're kind of in it.
Well, also, but more than the money you're getting from it is that you look at these 100 students of yours, and if you just said, you know what, I can't take it anymore, you can't. Because all
letting
100 of them.
But each one of them is not being relied upon by another 100. So those students can leave very easily.
Any moment.
Exactly.
So if you machine gun them as past that threshold of when they can't uphold that physical expectation anymore, they're going to quit. So self-defense means training in a way and with a mindset that allows you to stay on the mat as long as possible. Protect your joints, protect your opportunities, only take what's given to you. Self-defense, efficiency on the highest level. Now, Pedro has an amazing illustration of how to use strength while rolling. He showed it to me in private. I said, man, will you show it to the public? Because I've never seen this before. And it's really just a simple visual of how to use strength. Because we have strength and we have to use it. It takes strength to walk, to talk, to laugh, to jump. It takes strength to do jiu-jitsu. But how to use strength can determine whether you can train for 5, 10, 20 minutes, an hour straight, or like my grandfather, fight for 3 hours and 40 minutes nonstop.
Exactly.
Can you please show them real quick? Just face this way so they can see the illustration.
So basically, the idea is try to not to use too much muscle, try to hold, try to not to grab too much material.
How do most people do it wrong?
Well, they grab, they hold material, they hold everything. When the moment you clamp your
Tense.
arm, everything's stiff.
So right now I feel bicep tension, I feel tricep tension, I feel forearm and kind of anterior forearm here tension. I feel extension tension everywhere.
Everything's burning.
So it doesn't matter if he holds tight, I can just bend straight down. It's easy to bend.
That's it.
And it's because like you mentioned it, but if this is tense, you're helping me.
I'm helping. The bicep is trying to do this.
Right. So if everything's tense, it's like
If I just flex my own arm right
you're
now,
almost helping
I
the
feel
bend.
it bend, yeah.
But if you want to prevent the arm from being bent, you don't need to flex everything.
Nope.
Show us
You
how.
actually should not even grab nothing. You can see my hand here doesn't even gonna bend it. You're gonna start bending over there. And don't get me wrong, I want you guys to try this at home just to see if you can bend each other's arm.
Well,
So what muscle are you
Right, so
using?
right there, his bicep is totally relaxed. His forearm is totally relaxed. Everything's relaxed. So 75% has been saved, and all he's using is a little tricep.
That's it.
And he's using the lever of my shoulder to not have his arm bent.
Yep.
Now the problem is, for 90% of you guys out there, when you want your arm to be not bent, you'll just tense up your arm, not realizing that it's all in framing, bone structure, and leverage.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Bone structure, body positioning. These are the kind of things that allow you to fight somebody for an hour.
Right.
An hour and a half. Like, this is what when people say, like, yeah, I don't want to do a 20-minute match or a fight. It's too long, or oh, please, let's do 5-minute rounds. It's because of the idea that they're going to be exhausted.
Machine gun can't last for an hour.
But this type of knowledge, this type of understanding allows you to say, oh, you want to roll for 30 minutes? No problem. Because you know that you have these techniques to fall back on.
Right.
And be efficient.
Yep, and you can play, and that's how Grandmaster Marcelo Grace fought for 3 hours and 40, 3
He was not tense the whole time.
You cannot tense enough. And in the school, you have to always think about when you train that and you start grabbing and relying too much on material. How can you just burn yourself? You're getting yourself weaker, and you're not using body structure. You're not using body anatomy at all.
Right.
You're just using your pure muscle, and all your blood that you have in your body start to feel all the muscles. Every single muscle that you have in your blood, they all filled, and pretty soon you start not thinking very well. You don't have enough blood.
The
going
blood
to your brain.
leaves the brain.
So
That's the worst.
what I'm thinking now, my final wrap up is what aspect of self-defense is most neglected?
Right.
Is
the one
what-
we most publicized that we've talked about so much, which is a huge deal to us because it is neglected everywhere, is the idea of training with someone who's striking at you, because 99% of people never do that.
And because most people in the world want to know how to defend themselves in a street fight, we had to make it very clear that to know how to defend yourself in a street fight, you have to obviously train those type of techniques.
Right.
And now I think about, like, that is the most, I guess, sought out.
Yes.
The most sought out is I don't want to get beat up.
Right.
And I want to protect myself and my family to be safe. But the most, I guess, important is not that one.
Yeah,
the
because-
chance of you, I guess the most important to bring you in, know that we can teach you to self-defense, it is that one. But the most important,
see what you're saying, though, because you could- yeah.
because we want to keep people doing jiu-jitsu and the martial arts and being healthy and more positive people and just better people for the world. You want to keep them in the academy.
I get it.
So we cannot, like, the most important aspect of self-defense is not the street fight aspect. It's the protect yourself, your body, protect your efficiency, and just move when it's possible. Do what you can, not what you want attitude in sparring.
Right.
Because that will allow you to enjoy the art for a lifetime and therefore be a healthier, just more well-rounded person.
Great point.
So when I see students of mine, sometimes they don't want to do the classes that involve the gloves. Like, it's okay, that's minor. You know, they've done a good amount of it for 2-3 years, but they still come and train twice a week on other days, and they're very much, they don't do too much. They just kind of lay down and don't move. And obviously the world of social media and just the media in general is pulling people away from this jiu-jitsu, which I almost want to call it very boring. Like, the more boring your jiu-jitsu looks, the more impressive it is in my scale.
And the more likely you're going to be training long.
Yes, and the more likely you're going to be defending
Simple.
and you'll be able to defend yourself in a street fight.
Yeah, because it's simple in the street fight.
Because when you side mount somebody in a street fight, if you just hold them down for 3 minutes, get up, walk away, you won the fight, it's over.
Yeah.
So these are the things that, like, you know, don't, obviously be intrigued, appreciate and respect these competitors that win these tournaments, and they put these
machine gun masters.
Techniques online that are very beautiful and flashy, and try the move and appreciate them, but know one thing, that they themselves might be training in 30 years, but anybody who fully adopts something of somebody who's a full competitor, full flashy
machine gun
flying techniques, if you follow that 100%, your lifespan is going to be
3-4 years max.
10% of somebody who adopts the very simple, I just want to control the fight wherever I land attitude. The Elu Gracie attitude, right? If my grandfather was here right now and I'm side mounting him, he would not say, or he would not begin to work an escape for the first minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. He would look at me and say, "Hey, the ball's in your court.
Pressure's on you."
But that doesn't exist. The ball is always in the bottom. I'm sorry, not always. The ball is in the bottom person's court 90% of the time when we're talking about these people who are doing jiu-jitsu that is so flashy compared to the jiu-jitsu that is so simple.
So you were saying self-defense to street fight and punch protection is neglected everywhere. Equally neglected, if not more neglected, is this. Now, what you said is if you put them on a scale side by side, which one is a bigger concern for you? You're saying a bigger concern is self-defense like this, because even if you become proficient at protecting against punches, if you don't train and defend yourself on the mat the way they're talking about, you won't even be training long enough to benefit from jiu-jitsu for many, many generations.
And obviously,
so you're not defending yourself against yourself, leaving jiu-jitsu by not having this mindset.
And one of the most important aspects of defending against punches is knowing that you just need to not move. Just be still and watch the punch. Often when you want to get out is when you're most exposed to the punches. So I guess learning how to defend against punches, it embodies what I'm talking about. But it makes sense that over time, people, like, I've done a good years of this type of training with striking and surviving, but now I just want to roll a lot. And it's fun, but it's not going to be your best friend when you hit a certain age.
You guys, so here's the way I think about it. When I try to put my head around, am I grappling with a self-defense mindset? It's very easy to, there's a measure, there's a filter, there's a kind of a gauge that you can use really quickly at any moment in the grapple to find out, are you rolling with Hidon's kind of self-defense, Master Sauer's self-defense mindset that we're talking about. And here's how you do it. Anytime during the roll, wherever you are, if you just stop and ask yourself, at this exact moment, is my number one concern to address his objectives and neutralize them, or to impose my own objectives and defeat them? Do you see how you can tell? Mm-hmm. If you ask yourself at any point that question, you find out right away. Because if you're on the bottom of the side mount and you say, okay, is my number one objective right now to address and neutralize him or to impose my will? If the answer is impose my will, you're not doing self-defense. No. But if your answer to that question is no, right now, all I care about is where he's thinking his submission, and I'm going to hold. Now, at the moment he steps over, I'm going to elbow escape. Mm-hmm. That's self-defense. So you put it in his court. That's the filter. It's very simple. At any point in the roll, is my number one concern to respect his offense and neutralize his objectives, or that is self-defense. Respect the offense. And that's self-defense. Mm-hmm. Or is right now my number one concern to annihilate this guy. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares what he wants? I'm going to go no matter what.
And there's always a moment to get your submission or to get your escape.
In there is mistakes.
There's always a moment. And if there isn't a moment, what does that mean? It means that they themselves they're not doing anything.
Stop. They're self-defense too.
Yes.
Yep. Or they are given a chance there. They're given the opportunity.
Maybe.
They are exposing themselves.
But the whole point is they could be doing, no, they'll say there's no submission
windows.
They're just doing self-defense, and Hidon is side-mounted, and Hidon is doing self-defense, side-mount.
That's okay.
Both self-defense. Then you say, wow. You look up, you smile, you fist bump, you say, you're good. Then you go back down, and then just for the sake of shuffling the deck, you say, I'm going to throw my leg and do whatever. I'm going to mount.
And this is where I say the word keep it playful. Because now it reaches a point where I mount somebody, and I'm full controlling them. And
you're respecting their escapes?
Yes.
Your self-defense?
They're unable to escape, but I'm not really able to submit them.
They're just self-defense too?
Yes. So now the playful mindset that I have, what do? I say, you know what? I'm going to go for an arm lock that's not really there.
Well, you've already accomplished your objective.
Yes.
So then let's just
I've only accomplished half of them. I didn't submit them yet.
Correct.
Which is the ultimate.
But they're not going to give it to you because they're self-defense.
Yes.
They've listened to the video.
So my playful mindset is, you know what? I'm going to go for an arm lock. It's not really there, but I'm going to go for it.
Right.
Just to shuffle the deck.
But it's intentional. It's very obvious to you when this happens. Like it's a change in your mindset.
Yes.
You say, I'm going to now self-offense because I want to shuffle the deck.
Yes.
But the point we're trying to make here is that should be a deliberate shift in focus versus mount and blah, 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 and side mount and choke and take it back and rip. There's not this annihilation mindset. It's very much neutralize, self-defense. I'm mounted, but I'm still self-defense against you.
Yes.
Self-defense, he stops. He stays self-defense. I say, oh, interesting. And then typically in that situation, whoever's on the offensive position should...
I try to outsmart them, but they're still too good.
They're too good.
And you have to just keep the movement going. So I can now do self-defense.
Then you keep it playful, and then you go and he escapes, and you self-defense something else.
What keep it playful is everyone just flopping around, rolling over each other, letting go of positions.
No.
Because then you're missing the opportunity to practice control.
You want to do that.
You want to lay on side mount somewhere and just hold them. 20 seconds.
And especially if they're going crazy to get out, you just hold.
Especially. But the moment that they lie still, I continue to create movement because they basically told me
that you won.
That not only that I won, but that they are not going to take that route down that path.
Right. I'm saying you won that engagement right there. That side mount, you've defeated them through self-defense. You've capitalized. You've burnt their energy. They don't want to get out, so they've surrendered.
Not that I won, but or they're just so intelligent. Oof. I didn't win. They won because they're so smart
that they're not going
to move one muscle while I'm not moving.
Right. So they're self-defense.
So they basically they had a better hand than me.
They put it back on you. They reversed it. Yeah. So, you guys, we just wanted to have this talk because we came here to Virginia, spent some time, had an amazing seminar, and of all the instructors in the world outside of the Gracie family, there's no one who represents self-defense and perpetuates more the idea of protect yourself, roll with energy efficiency, safe body, save your joints, and take the opportunity when he gives it. Than this man right here. So it's an honor for us to be here collaborating, and this talk couldn't have happened in better company.
And that's an obvious because this is a guy who has been around the Gracie family, so many Gracies for so long, right? And he's somebody who's still constantly traveling the world teaching. So not only did he learn so much for so many years, but he's continuously on the mat sharpening and training and keeping everything.
There you go,
beautiful.
Guys. What is self-defense? It's way more than punches. It's the mindset, the only mindset that will allow you to stay on the mat this long.
That's not even that long. Don't try to make that.
Well, that's a good start. For most people, this is a good start.
Yes, think about elevation.
For me, that's a good milestone. And then once I reach this age, then I'm like, I want to go all the way 93, 95.
Just think about elevation.
You guys, we're going all the way. The question is, when we get there, who's going to be with us? The ones who adopt this mindset. The rest, you guys came in, you enjoyed some chokes and arm bars, left, and... that's it. The journey was short. So we hope that you guys can let this penetrate and know that it's way beyond. And if you guys got one or two nuggets that you can apply tomorrow, including that filter, am I doing everything right now in respect of what they want? Or am I trying to impose what I want regardless of what they want? That's your filter. And right away you're going to know, are you a self-defense operator or are you a self-offense operator, machine gun status, and wasting ammo every step of the way?
The way I look at it is, when you leave here today and you go train tomorrow, try to do nothing, which of course still means control, but do very little and observe everything.